Ms. Torres, congratulations to you. Our second inductee into the Cleveland International Hall of Fame tonight is Andrew Chakalis, the first Greek to be inducted into the Cleveland International Hall of Fame. He will be inducted by Mr. Lou Frangos, the chairman of the Frangos Group and president of the Greek Garden Association of Cleveland. Mr. Frangos, come on up.
Thank you all. It's an honor to be up here to be able to introduce Andy, but what I'm going to say in 2 minutes won't suffice. There's a program book which is a little more elaborate and will tell you a little bit more about Andy and what a wonderful person he is, but my brief, very briefly. Good evening, everyone. What a joy it is to be celebrating here with you tonight for the class, this 2026 class of the Hall of Fame. It's a special honor for me to introduce Andy Chakalis, the first Greek American inducted into this esteemed hall. I have known Andy for decades, and I can tell you he's one of those rare individuals who somehow manages to do everything and do it well. Artist, mentor, preservationist, community leader, and somehow still finds the time to be a genuinely kind and humble human being, which frankly is the most important part. Whether serving as the president of the Hellenic Preservation Society, working alongside his wonderful wife Faith at the Greek Garden Association, where they help lead the complete restoration of the Greek cultural garden, whether preserving historic iconography, organizing exhibits of the Cleveland Museum of Art, or creating his own studio, or mentoring students across the globe from Italy, Japan, Taiwan, and right here in Cleveland, Ohio. Andy brings the same thing to everything he does, a selfless passion to make the world a better place than he found it. There is a quote attributed to Dostoevsky, "Beauty will save the world." Andy doesn't just believe that, he lives it. But as meaningful as his work has been, I would argue that Andy's greatest impact isn't in the art he's created or the institutions he's helped build. It's in the people he's inspired, the students he's mentored, and the countless lives he's touched along the way. At his core, Andy is a family man who carries forward the values installed in him by his parents, a deep love, a strong work ethic, and a rich blending of his Slovenian and Greek heritage, with special devotion to the Greek traditions. Those roots help shape the man we're honoring tonight. And if you ever spent a few minutes with Andy, you'd know he just doesn't create beauty, he brings it out in others. So tonight, it's my privilege to introduce the man who not only is deserving of this honor, but has quietly been earning it for a lifetime. As we say in Greek, Axios. Please join me in welcoming Andy Chakalis. Okay, all right, Andy.
Thank you. I wasn't expecting you.
I want to thank Lou for the kind introduction, and to thank the International Hall of Fame Committee for this recognition. And congratulations to my fellow inductees. My father immigrated from Greece, the island of Evia, Stroponos, a hilltop village, he worked hard, chef, owner of a few restaurants throughout his career, and married my mother, who was of Slovenian heritage. She adopted the Greek traditions and even mastered the Greek language. I was fortunate enough to have a broader view of two ethnic backgrounds growing up. Cleveland, my home, is where I was first introduced to a mixture of different ethnic families, Eastern European, Jewish, Italian, etc. Ethnic identity became a normal way of life for me, a mixture of different cultures, all learning from each other. My exposure to the different ethnicities sparked an interest in foreign study and the chance to further my educational experiences. I also had an early interest in architecture and art, which prompted me to explore studio art and art history, with sculpture becoming my study major. Looking first to study locally, but then I considered European opportunities, France, Italy, England. I determined Italy would provide me with the best opportunity to continue my interest and pursuit of visual arts. Italy represented to me a cultural bridge, historically speaking. I was fortunate enough to receive my advanced education in Italy after being accepted into the Academy of Fine Arts in Florence, Italy. I made the trip to Europe on a freighter, 14 days ocean travel, landing in Greece and then moving to Italy at the cost of $175 in 1960, in the 60s. Mind-boggling. My first academic year started in the fall of 1996, when Florence experienced the historic flood in November of that year. Needless to say, my studies were interrupted briefly about 2 weeks before the university resumed classes. Everyone who was able did whatever they could to help with the recovery. I still remember carrying damaged paintings from the Uffizi Museum to the Pitti Palace, which was on the higher ground for safe storage, and helping with the transportation of waterlogged books from the bibliothèque. They were ultimately transported to Città di Castello and placed in tobacco chambers to begin the drying process. Unfortunately, many did not survive. This disaster resulted in the international community coming together to help restore the damage done to the works of art, sculptures, and architecture. The impact to art conservation is still being felt today. But one cannot forget the loss of life that resulted from this disaster. After my formal studies in Florence, I was accepted as assistant working in the studio of Arnaldo Pomodoro in Milan. I was able to experience the work resulting in his one-man exhibitions in London, New York, and Milan. Arnaldo Pomodoro first became internationally recognized for his sculpture when he won the Venice Biennale in 1956. Arnaldo passed away in June of last year at the age of 98. My time in Italy provided me with the chance to study the dynamics of the 14th century. Florence experience and Milan offered and is considered the little New York of Europe, more cosmopolitan and industrial. Upon returning to Cleveland, I joined the staff of the Cleveland Museum of Art and eventually became an associate curator of the Extensions Division. This department was started in 1914, prior to the opening of the Cleveland Museum of Art to the public in 1916, as a commitment to art education. The department's collection of over 16,000 objects was used for educational programs covering all media and eras of Western and Asian art. This collection on its own could be a standalone museum in any city in the United States. It included a range of materials from book arts to Dutch ceramics, African masks, Eskimo art, etc. Our projects included lending European folk art textiles to the Robertson Center for the Arts and Sciences in Binghamton, New York, to support the exhibition Goddesses and Their Offspring, 19th and 20th Century Eastern European Embroideries, and organizing Life Images, a Child's View, which was an exchange of drawings of daily life between the elementary students of the Cleveland school system and Odawara, Japan. Other extension exhibitions held at the Cleveland Museum of Art frequently highlighted Cleveland's cultural heritage, with notable shows such as Progressive Vision, The Planning of Downtown Cleveland, 1903 to 1930, The Age of Elegance, 1880 to 1914, and The Order of Things, A History of the Column. I was a guest lecturer at the Taiwan Museum of Art discussing collections and educational outreach programs. In the late 80s, one of our department volunteers and a member of the museum's junior council, Mrs. Helen Chakalis, and I were asked by the CMA board to support the exhibition Holy Image, Holy Space, Icons and Frescoes from Greece. We formed a committee representing 4 local Greek churches, which energized the community and raised significant financial support for the exhibition. This group became the nucleus for the Hellenic Preservation Society of Northeastern Ohio, an organization dedicated to promoting Hellenism and Greek culture. As a founding member of HPS, I was introduced to the Greek Cultural Garden by Mr. Pete Katavalis. Pete was the Cultural Garden Federation Greek Garden representative. After viewing the garden and understanding its historic importance, HPS undertook the responsibility of the renovation and replanting of the garden, becoming the first ethnic organization to undertake responsibility for its ethnic garden. Everyone here who is involved with their garden knows and understands the work that is involved in restoration and the ongoing maintenance. We, HPS, approach this project as if we were restoring a fine work of art, being certain to do no harm. We selected landscape architect Mr. Jim McKnight to develop a new landscape plan based off the original garden plan. Then the work began. Funds were raised and a block grant was received to repair the stone infrastructure, replanting with the help of Key Bank's Neighbors Make a Difference Day, and new urns were constructed and placed adjacent to the Poets Bench on the west slope. We secured the services of Mr. Sal Fusco, stone specialist for the stone infrastructure. His father was one of the original stonemasons that worked on the gardens during their early construction. Weekly, volunteers helped with ongoing garden maintenance, planting, spring, fall cleanup. While I can't remember everyone, we should recognize the Gates Mills Horticultural School, whose students worked here to gain some practical experience. Alan Janusa, Mike Paporis, Gus Callis, Duke and Gail Kariotis. And we can't say enough about the lunches Gail would pack. She made certain there was enough food for all of the volunteers working on that day. And probably the person who volunteered most often was Jimmy Watson, and there are many others who I know I am failing to mention. Volunteer time was not restricted to work. We always found time to strengthen friendships with each other and the community. HPS was instrumental in planning and in the installation of new flagpoles for the gardens, funded by the Cleveland Cultural Garden Federation, which was undertaken in preparation for the city's bicentennial. In 1996, the Greek community hosted the Cultural Gardens One World Day celebration. An official ceremony was held at the Greek Garden, and in honor of the city's birthday, the newly renovated garden was rededicated and presented to Mayor Michael R. White. Through our commitment, it became apparent that there should be new efforts to encourage more ethnic communities to become involved and possibly establish new gardens. As was the hopes of HPS when undertaking this project, the new gardens would be realized. The India Garden was dedicated in 2005. It was the first garden in 20 years since the Chinese Garden was dedicated in 1985. Since then, a number of new gardens have been established. I won't attempt to name them for fear of forgetting one, but I think the number is either 10 or 11. Needless to say, the cultural gardens continue to grow. It was during this period that Richard Konashevas, assistant to the mayor of Michael R. White, shared an early drawing of the original cultural gardens at one of the Cultural Garden Federation meetings. At the bottom of the page in the center was an illustration of a frieze. Although I didn't realize it's important at the time, it was enough to make me start some research. Research began on the frieze and found that it was conceived by sculptor Andrew T. Chakalis in 1939. The image entitled "The Gift of Greece to Civilization" was adopted as the letterhead of the Grecian Garden Association at that time. 34 immortals depicted in the frieze were selected by the artist in collaboration with Dr. J.J. Newsaw of Case School of Applied Science and Professor C.P. Bill of the Classics Department of Western Reserve University. These two institutions subsequently merged and are known as Case Western Reserve University. Proposals were put together on what effort it would take to fully realize the frieze as originally planned and presented to the Hellenic Preservation Board. We researched potential stone carvers and identified Mr. Nicholas Fairplay as the most qualified. Being born and educated in his craft in Great Britain, we are pleasantly surprised to find him here in our own backyard. As we all know, projects of this magnitude take a while to be realized. In 2022, responsibility for the Greek Cultural Garden was transferred to newly formed Greek Garden Association of Cleveland under the leadership of Mr. Lou Frangos, which HPS continues with its support. I am pleased to say that through his efforts and belief in the project as its historic value and those of James Chakalis and many more individuals within the Greek community and beyond, and I do apologize for failing to mention everyone. Funds have been raised, and we are confident that the frieze will be installed in the not-too-distant future. To conclude, I once again am honored for this recognition. Thank you. Oh, certainly.
Mr. Chakalis. Mr. Chakalis, congratulations to you.